Hi folks. Well, the software here is doing a tricky little thing. This should say chapter 8, but when you paste it in it says chapter 9. But this particular lecture is on chapters 8 and 9. Sharing videos and sharing photos. Sharing photos is chapter 9. So disregard the 9 that you see and know that it is chapter 8. And it's interesting, I think, to me to know that video sharing has been around a fairly short period of time, at least when you look at YouTube, which was later bought by Google, interestingly, and is now managed by Google. They were able to monetize it, and they make their money, I believe, by certain brands who post their videos of, say, advertisements would pay them to do so. And of course, some of the videos on YouTube that are for training purposes or advertising purposes, those people typically pay some money for various services from Google around their videos. Anyway, it's still a relatively new phenomenon, but on the other hand, it's an extremely popular venue for companies to do marketing. I love YouTube as a venue for doing these sorts of presentations for educational purposes. They have lots of application for advertising, for training, and just a myriad of different applications or purposes. Of course, the real value of both YouTube videos and photos sharing, which we'll talk about in a bit when we get to chapter 9, is that they rely on probably the most significant of the 5 senses, the sense of sight. The other ones are touch, smell, hear, and taste. And while they're all important, and they all can be heightened through a lack of sight, usually sight is the most significant of all the senses when you poll people. And it's kind of common sense because it's just much more difficult to go through life without the ability to see. And so YouTube videos and photo sharing, or sharing videos and sharing photos, potentially is just a wonderful media or venue or application of media through which we can promote our products, teach people, make them aware, entertain them, so on and so forth. You can appeal to, as the previous slide just noted, an array of different audiences across all of your different product lines or services. How to create an appealing video content. I haven't seen this in academic journals, but I'm sure it exists, and I like it. Very academic. AEIOU rule. It should be authentic, that is, different, new, differentiated from others, entertaining in its content and its format. It should be intimate. That it should draw on, it should tell a story essentially. Offbeat is good, it's a little bit different. That helps differentiate it from other sorts of competing entertainment. And unusual, I don't know that that's incredibly different than offbeat or even authentic. Should be unusual. So when you're creating a video, and this is relevant to a current assignment, get to the point quickly, or else you have to keep the viewer watching through some kind of hook keep continuity of theme between different videos. In other words, you might, if it's a training video or descriptive videos series about how to use a particular product, then you want them to be sequential logically, and don't focus solely on creating a viral video. Obviously, not every video can be viral, so trying to create in that genre is very difficult, very competitive. The rule chapter 9, sharing photos and images. Unlike videos, which YouTube was first started, it said in the last chapter in 2005, sharing photos has been around a while, since 1995, a full decade earlier. And there's been a couple different venues, and probably one of the most popular ones was Flickr, and I believe that was, yes, acquired by Yahoo fairly recently. Well, 10 years ago. I guess it just feels recent to me. This slide is mostly historic, just showing different competing sites over the last several years. It's become progressively easier for people to share photos. I don't do Facebook and I don't do Flickr, so it's not that I'm ignorant on it. I just don't like to share personal information. But my daughter does, and millions, of course, hundreds of millions of other people. And that provides, that being the case, an extremely significant opportunity for promotional / marketing people to share impact, or to share photos that will have an impact around customer perceptions of products. As I just noted, photos are a great way to showcase products, and again, it's all about sight. It's all about seeing, because that's how we most often, not always, but most often, integrate differences in our environment. And they can have all kinds of emotional impacts. They can elicit fear, they can elicit happiness, they can elicit joy, confusion, and inquisitiveness. So marketers or promoters can tap into that and use photos of products to elicit different kinds of image or different kinds of feelings. That's called affect in marketing. Produce effective responses in potential customers or existing customers. Now, like always, the first thing that you want to be sensitive to from a marketing perspective is clearly defining your product or service, because that defines your target market. So you want to know what kind of people are interested in this product or service that you have, so that you can interact with them and produce some kind of a promotional tool that resonates with them in some context. So in that sense, you have to consider the nature of the images that you're offering and that you want to upload. You want to make sure that you're just not putting stuff up that has no real value. You want to strategically think about it very clearly and have a sense at least of what each image that you're considering, the effect or impact that it's intended to have. In some cases, if you're going to just use images that you've taken randomly. You want to make sure that for ethical and in many cases legal reasons, you want to, in some cases financial that relate to legal, that you want to have permission from people whose. Now, one of the venues that's becoming more and more popular, for at least from a business to business category, is LinkedIn. People are using LinkedIn more and more, much like Monster, as a way to find people who might be qualified for certain positions. I know my son-in-law has been contacted a couple of times by people that found him and were interested in the specific qualifications that he had, which makes me feel a little bit dated because I would never admit to this to him. I feel I'm much more qualified about many things than my son-in-law, and I've never been contacted by LinkedIn. So kudos to him and good on him, and it's a great becoming more and more of a legitimate venue for business people seeking business people, either as prospective clients or employees or whatever. So things perhaps I should pay attention to when you post on LinkedIn. You should tell a story of you that again would resonate with your prospective customers, and that can be a combination of both qualifications and true, honest stories around your history. So that starts with a headline. Don't have a crappy headline that talks about superior marketing guru. Should be more than that because there's lots of marketing gurus out there. So to have a headline, look for something that is unique about yourself. Don't think too narrowly. In other words, are you more than a marketer? Are you more than a mother? Are you more than a father? Just like consumers, at the end of the day, employers hire people because of the benefits that they potentially bring to the table. And too often people talk about attributes. I'm a hard worker. Well, who's going to say I'm a lazy worker? Or I'm a good leader. That's an attribute. What are the benefits of that? The benefits might be I inspire people. I motivate people to perform at levels that they normally wouldn't consider, which saves you money and produces product that is far superior than the competition. So again, don't think just about attributes, think about benefits. Otherwise, you're just somebody else who's posted in LinkedIn. So tout yourself a little bit and then give appropriate contact information so they can contact you easily. So one of the things you want to look for too, perhaps, is a white label social network, which is a little more specific and narrower than a broad social one like Facebook or even LinkedIn. So they might be for very specific, narrower sorts of customers or focus. So if you are a salesperson for a specific product, you might think of finding a white label social network that focuses or deals with your particular niche.